Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and get started. And I am representing these four ladies behind me tonight as your hostess. This is going to be somewhat of an informal approach to learning Black history. I want everyone to walk away from here tonight knowing something about someone who looks like them, uh, presuming that everyone who's coming, and if you're not African American, you're welcome as well. Learning more about Black history and the numerous contributions, innovations that we've made to American history. So, my name is Tony Arnold McFarland, but tonight I am representing the hidden figures, the unveiled figures, the historical figures, and anyone in the future who's going to continue the legacy of innovation. And what we're going to do first is we do have a little bit of an agenda, but like I said, we're going to follow that loosely because we're going to make sure that we enjoy ourselves. We're focusing on what is called Black Brilliance in STEM. We started this RTP NSBE National Society of Black Engineers last year. We were in a banquet and we were able to celebrate some of these folks you see on the screen here with live characters. However, we're doing that virtually tonight. And if you have come and want to represent and share about someone you research, maybe you are dressed in character, maybe you just want to say a few words about them, please put that in the chat so we will know. And like I said, we are RTP NSBE, but tonight this is a NSBE Junior event. This is a little bit of history about us. We launched in October 2019. And if you are interested in joining, we will put that information in the chat for you. But basically, we are a community chapter for grades K through 12. And we are still taking members. We always are. We have a number of activities that are already going and more to come. So if you or you know someone who is interested in joining, feel free to reach out to us. And like I said, these are the things that we will be talking about tonight. Mainly, we want you to learn history, we want you to have fun. We have some games, and we have some special guests. All right, is Breland McDonald on? Breland, are you on? I don't know if I hear Breland. Okay, I'll go ahead and do this. Basically, our purpose tonight is to celebrate Black pioneers in innovation and STEM. Also, this is Engineers Week. Engineers Week happens every year, and basically, this is a time to celebrate engineers. Engineers Week was founded in 1951 by the National Society of Professional Engineers and is dedicated to ensuring a diverse and well-educated future engineering workforce. So we are actually focusing on Black inventors because it's Black History Month, and it's also Engineers Week. And next, I think I did hear Jaden Martin. Jaden, are you on? Can you lead us in the mission? This is something that we all do with NSBE. If we were in person, we would stand and say this together. But since we are virtual, I'm going to get one of our NSBE Junior members, if he's on, to read the mission. Are you there, Jaden?
Yes.
All right. This is a picture of Jaden as well, showing off his most recently built first Lego League contraption there. All right. Go ahead, Jaden.
To increase the number of culturally responsible Black engineers who excel academically, succeed professionally, and positively impact the community.
Thank you, Jaden. And Jaden is a first grader, so show him some love. If you can show him a reaction or just kind of give him a shout out for being so courageous to lead us tonight. Thank you, Jaden. All right. Next, I'm going to ask our treasurer, Ryan Hebert, if he can come and tell us how you can support our mission if you wish to do so. Ryan?
Some ways you can support our mission is giving donations, giving your time, and giving your talent. how to support us is going to our website at RTP NSBE.org. You can donate with PayPal or a debit or credit card or email at treasurer@nsbertp.org. All donations are tax deductible.
Thank you, Ryan. And Ryan is an 8th grader. We appreciate you, Ryan, for helping us make sure we have funds to keep RTP NSBE Jr. going. So RTP NSBE is a professional chapter. We sponsor RTP NSBE Jr. We're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for members. Your brilliance is needed in STEM. You can continue to be a part of history. If you're going to be in STEM and you are Black, most likely you're going to be making history because there's still a lot more opportunity for you to contribute and give. And we do have a very special guest tonight. I'm just honored and can't even believe that we have one of the original founders here with us for NSBE. And I won't steal his thunder. I am going to ask him to get ready to make way to come tell us about our history. So as we celebrate Black history, our organization has a history of its own. And it's important that we know it and understand how we came into existence. But this is just a picture to kind of set your mind around the time and the place. And I'll let him talk more about that. But all of us who are in NSBE have always heard about the Chicago Six. This is a little picture in the upper left corner of the Chicago Six and their advisor when they were at Purdue University. And they were students who were very interested in making sure that there was equity in education. They were, I would say, ahead of their times because a lot of people are talking about equity now, but they already had recognized inequities as students at Purdue University. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask Mr. George Smith if he would just come and tell us a little bit about himself and tell us about how it was to be at Purdue University in the early 1970s as a Black engineering student. All right, so Mr. Smith, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go off camera, and if you want to come on camera, I'll leave this slide up, and you can go ahead and talk to us for a few minutes about your contributions to history.
Okay, can you see me?
Let's see. Yep, we do. We see you.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say it's really great to see your organization thriving there, the RTP organization. I've heard a lot about the Research Triangle, so I know there's a lot of great companies there with a lot of great engineering talent. And, I'm glad to see that RTP has its own chapter presence. As far as history is concerned, our history is a history of family. By family, I mean friends and family. Yes, the Chicago Six, that's a nickname that I adopted for us. The first thing I want to say about the founding number is that there are actually 7 founders. And so at the time, the nickname Chicago 7 was already taken by a group of anarchists that were actually more infamous than famous. So Chicago 7 was off the table. There's actually a movie about it, if you'd like to know more about that. But there were 6 student founders. The 7th founder was Dr. Arthur Bond. Dr. Arthur Bond was assigned as a faculty advisor, but he was asked in 1969, right after he had completed his bachelor's in electrical engineering, he was asked to stay on at Purdue University and create a minority engineering program. And so he did that for the next 2 years. By 1971, he had the program ready to roll out. And keep in mind, he was working on his master's and PhD, as well as creating a program, a minority engineering program. So they called it Program for Disadvantaged Students. And I later found out that meant educationally disadvantaged. The challenge was in those days that almost all the schools were segregated. You didn't necessarily have the same curriculum in the schools in the suburbs and in the white community as you did in the Black community. But my group came from 2 excellent schools in Chicago. 5 of us came from the same high school, Lynn Bloom High School. So, many people don't know that about the Chicago 6. So we started really even, I met my first fellow founder even before I got to high school. I went to elementary school, middle school with Edward Coleman. And so we went to different high schools, but we re-met again as freshmen at Purdue University. I had no idea that he would be attending Purdue University as well. So I went off to this other high school, Lynn Bloom Technical High School. It was selective enrollment. You had to test in. There was only one high school like that on the south side of Chicago. So literally, they cherry-picked some of the top students on the south side of Chicago to attend that school. On the very first day, as I was riding the bus to school, there was another young man who had gotten on the bus close to my bus stop. And so we rode together. I really didn't notice him because it was a crowded bus, but then we got off the bus at the same place. We had to actually do what we call transfer from one bus to another again. So he transferred, we got on the second bus, then we got off at the same place, and we realized that we were both going to be going to Lynn Bloom. Then we realized we were both freshmen. And then after we got into the building, we kept walking in the same direction. We had the same home room. So we went to the same home room, and then we were actually the first 2 students to arrive in class, and before the door was even open. So we just stood there for 10, 15 minutes, whatever it was, got acquainted with each other. And he was the only person that I knew at the school, at least in my homeroom class. So when they asked us to pick locker partners, we chose one another. And we remained locker partners for the entire 4 years that we were in high school. In that very first week, we went to track practice. And in track practice, we met 2 of the other founders. So there you had 4 of the Chicago 6 already together as a team on the freshman track team. And then as it turned out, we had very similar class schedules. And Brian and I had almost every class together. I think algebra was the only class we didn't have together. So we developed, a best friend bond literally in the first week or so. And as far as the other guys, they had many of our same classes, gym class, lunchroom. Seemed like every year we were assigned to the same lunch period. So we just collected together, freshmen, and eventually we were all best friends and developed a social group. We even threw a party in our senior year. So we were functioning as a team and as an administrative team even before we got to Purdue, and as a social team before we got to Purdue. So we get to Purdue. We really have no idea what to expect. None of us had ever met a Black engineer before. In fact, none of us had ever met any type of an engineer before. So that was a totally new experience. We were in essentially an all-Black high school, and we went to a predominantly white college. We went from a high school, it was probably one of the largest high schools in Chicago, so it wasn't a small school. But, compared to Purdue, it was dwarfed. It was a 2,000 student school. Purdue had 27,000 students. So, we came from an environment, this, 95+%, 2,000 student school that was Black, to an environment where there were only 28 Black engineering students in the entire school. And I'm doubtful that there were more than 100 other students studying at Purdue University outside of the engineering school. So it was a culture shock. It was a different change. The biggest change for us, it was the pace of learning. That's what I recall. To me, one day in engineering school was like, it was like an entire week's worth of work that you would have in high school. So we didn't have time for, fun and games and hijinks, and so we had to compartmentalize our playtime. And so during the school week, we were all business, and then during the weekend, we partied with the rest of the kids. That's how we did that. So that was the social environment. Academically, we didn't know about the history of minority engineers at Purdue. The history was that 80% of the freshman engineering class would drop out, flunk out, or transfer every year. So no one expected us to succeed. And yet we had what I call an unfair advantage, a secret weapon, and that was our friendship. So, we just naturally, because you're taking the same class as freshman engineering, we just naturally studied together.
And Mr. Smith, did the others major in electrical engineering too?
Oh, that's a good question. I was the only one that majored in electrical engineering.
Right. Okay.
And that was significant for my development, because two of the guys, actually three of the guys, majored in civil engineering.
Okay.
And two majored in mechanical engineering. And I was the only one that went into electrical engineering. So my little secret weapon of having these buddies in my study group, that went away. Okay, after I marched into the electrical engineering building. So I had to establish, relationships over there.
Okay.
But, what happened is Edward Barnett decided that because of this problem with retaining students, that he should start he was a senior in industrial engineering, and he decided that he should start a support group for these freshmen. And that was us. So we were the first beneficiaries of the formation of the Society of Black Engineers, being encouraged by Edward Barnett and also by Dr. Arthur Bond, who was our faculty advisor and he was the 12th electrical engineering PhD in the history of the United States and the 42nd PhD in engineering in the history of the United States. So he was a fantastic role model. I'll pause here in case you have another question to send me in a different direction.
All right, let me see if are there any questions in the chat? Anyone have any questions for Mr. Smith? I think that's great, Mr. Smith. So could you, I know we're going to have you around with us for a little bit, but can you talk just for a few minutes before we wrap up about how it feels, now that you have recognized this problem and you guys established this organization. So what impact did that have on changing those statistics of that 80% dropout rate?
Okay, that's an excellent question. So we went from 80% dropout to 80% that were retained and went on to the year. And among the Chicago 6, we all had B averages.
That's awesome.
So it had an instantaneous effect. And then by the time we became upperclassmen ourselves, we felt we had the same responsibility as those seniors who were looking out for us.
Okay. And what, I guess, would you attribute that change to? Like, what did you guys do to change the outlook?
Well, first of all, what we did is we had a peer group to study with. That was the most important thing.
Yep.
You weren't alone in in your attempt to earn your degree. Everyone who is admitted into engineering school is smart enough to graduate. There was not a problem there. I got the second. I was one of the two top grades on the first double E test that I took. But the biggest challenge was this changing your internal clock to work mentally hard more than than you'd ever done before. Because see, high school was relatively easy in comparison.
All right. Right.
So I had to learn how to work hard mentally. I already knew how to work hard uh, as a hard work from a physical standpoint. I had several jobs where I had to work hard physically when I was in high school, but working hard mentally was a totally different thing.
Excellent. Yeah. And I know there's engineers on the call who've joined us that can attest to that. And even, once you get into the work world, high school, college, then when you get into your career, I would say that is still significant as well. Would you say so?
Oh yes, most definitely. So the thing that I think was a huge factor in enabling us to form this society was the fact that engineers work in laboratories and they typically work in teams. So you're being trained to work in a team. So you had a group of guys who were already used to being a team, being trained to work on a team. And so it was a natural progression for us to collect and establish the committees that we needed. So the thing that you need to understand is that before our organization, there were other organizations on campus, and one of which was the Society of Women Engineers. We partnered with them. We learned from them. Our
Right.
original constitution, was drafted based on a constitution from a similar minority group at the University of Michigan and the Society of Women Engineers at Purdue. So, so we established committees, and from the very beginning, the goal was retention and recruitment. And so, if anyone asks, well, how did you guys do it? We did it by committee. That's how we did it. We had a programs committee, we had a publications committee, we had a tutorial committee, we had a membership committee, we had a publicity committee, and that was how we went about our business. And there were three main events. I'm going to stop after I mention this because you may have something else you want to talk about. But you don't just have a convention out of the blue. There were three main events that occurred over the 2 years that we were officers. The first was an equal opportunity luncheon, and in that luncheon, we actually partnered with the Society of Women Engineers. The president of the university came and spoke. And this equal opportunity luncheon was set up where we invited high school counselors from all over the state of Indiana. And so our goal was to help these counselors share the message with their students that if they had minority students, Black students, women, that they would find a welcome home on the Purdue campus. So, that is one of the main contributors to the growth of students. During Dr. Bond's tenure, the student body, the Black engineering student body grew from 28 to 104 in 2 years, and then 2 years later to 300. I mean,
Wow, that's
it's
awesome.
just amazing. So we had the equal opportunity luncheon, then we
Okay.
had a corporate banquet. In the
Okay.
corporate banquet, we invited corporations, and those two initiatives basically established ourselves on campus and put us in a position where we were given a green light to start a national organization.
That is absolutely excellent. All right. Are there any questions, any final questions for Mr. Smith before we move forward? from anyone on the call?
I have a question. What would you say was your motivation at times where you just where you felt like giving up, you just felt like it was too much, you couldn't do it anymore? What would you say is your motivation to continue?
My fellow founders. You know, we came in as a group, and we intended to leave as a group. You know, there's no way that you know, we could have left that university with only 5 of us graduating, okay, instead of 6, or only 4 graduating. You know, because we knew each other's parents, siblings, cousins, you know, the whole bit. So, you know, if John Logan could do it, George better be able to do it too. Okay. You know, I felt like they were able to continue with their advantage of having their teams, you know, from day one, but I had to find new people to become you know, a team with in the School of Electrical Engineering. I was lucky. Arthur Bond was an electrical engineer, so he was in the building with me. And I tell you, you know, there were at least 3 occasions when school was so challenging that I thought I wanted to change my major, but I knew I couldn't do it without going into Art Bond's office and telling him about it. So I went into his office 3 times with that intention, telling him I was thinking about changing my major. I never brought up the subject because when I got in there, you know, it was just, it was like I was home. He was cracking jokes. I was laughing, you know, so 3 different occasions. And he never even knew that. I don't think I ever told him that story. I think he, you know, he passed away not knowing that he saved me from changing my major 3 times. But the big thing for me was, to tell you the truth, I couldn't think, if I'm going to change my major, what am I going to change it to? I didn't have any, you know, any other great interests. So I just stuck it out like the rest of my guys.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. That was excellent. And I know there may be some others that ask questions, but thank you, Jairus. That was our NSBE Jr president asking that question. He's a high school student, and he's interested in mechanical engineering or environmental engineering. And that is a very good question. There's several of us on the call tonight that can attest to that. Having someone to support you and go along that journey with you as your partner, your road dog, as some of us may say, those people help establish your community and your village when you go off to college. And make sure you choose them wisely, because they can make you or break you. Excellent. So if you don't mind, Mr. Smith, continue to hang out with us tonight. We may get some other questions for you. If you want to show Mr. Smith your gratitude for tonight, please say something to him in the chat. Let him know that you appreciate him coming. And if you want to continue to ask questions to him in the chat, you can. And this is the NSBE symbol. The torch is a part of the national symbol. It represents the everlasting burning desire to achieve success as an engineer. I think about this torch often, and I even use the phrase, you know, when I talk about other NSBE members, that they're going to help me carry this torch. We often say that to each other, like we have to carry the torch, you have to bear the torch. We can't just wear it, we also got to bear it. And the lightning bolt represents the striking impact being felt by the society and industry as a result of the contributions and achievements made by the National Society of Black Engineers. All right, so at this time, you can continue to chat with Mr. Smith if you like. As I said, it's an honor to have him. It's not often. This is the first time I've ever had a founder, the RTP NSBE member. Please feel free to continue to reach out to him. But I'm going to, Ascano is going to come at this time. And I will say this, our NSBE Jr officers put together the content for tonight. and they came up with these creative ways to execute our program and celebrate Black history and Blacks in STEM. So, Lauren, I'm going to stop sharing. If you want to share, I'm going to stop sharing and let you go ahead and speak at this time on the next activity that we're going to do.
Okay, hello, good evening, everyone. So we are going to do a puzzle activity to introduce the next two people we are going to be talking about, which are Barack and Michelle Obama. And this will be a quick competition game. And there will be two groups of 3 to 4 volunteers racing to complete their puzzle. And I'm pretty much just going to send in the links for the puzzles. So if anyone would like to complete or take part in completing a puzzle, could you please write your name in the chat? Also, I will put in the links and then share my screen so we can see the progress of how people are doing.
So this is a virtual puzzle. I had not seen this before. So again, this is some of the activities that the Virginia officers put together. We get the chance to have fun and enjoy technology all at the same time. So we could please get a few volunteers, maybe 3 for each team. So we have T. Fields is interested in participating. Okay, Jaden. And Jaden, you might need a little help. That's okay. You can get a little help.
So I just put the 2 links to the 2 puzzles. So if anyone wants to participate, they could just click on either of those links. And also, I cannot screen share. It says that the host disabled participant screen sharing.
There you go. You should be able to do it now.
Okay.
All right. So we need a couple more participants here. Let's see. I might have to draft a few people. All right. So Shelby, why don't you go to the Michelle Obama link? That's going to be
the first one.
The first one. We'll put Shelby over there. Let me see. Miss Tish, did you want to go over to that first one as well? Jaden, the one to the right is the last link. That's going to be Barack Obama. Does anybody want to help Jaden work on that one? And you may be wondering, what does this have to do with STEM? You'll find out in a minute. Dace, maybe you can help Jaden out over there. That's the second link, the last link.
So whenever you get onto the link, you can just start and move the puzzle pieces around. And maybe I recommend starting with edge pieces because it gives you a good idea of how big the puzzle will be.
All right, Jaden, you can go ahead and start working on the Barack Obama one. That's the second link. That's right. I see some movement going over there. And if you're looking for a way to have fun with your family remotely, the Puzzle Party is a free app through Google. And Lauren, if you want to say a few words about it, you can. But this is a nice way to have engagement remotely with your family and your friends. And Lauren, as they're working on these, tell us what connection the Obamas have to STEM.
Okay, so during former President Obama's presidency, he worked to expand STEM education for students, and he helped to launch Change the Equation, which is a nonprofit dedicated to helping businesses improve STEM education in their communities. And it achieved goals of expanding STEM, helping CEOs advocate for STEM in their communities, and help companies to invest in STEM programs and create STEM programs. And his administration also launched the Educate to Innovate campaign, which has secured over $1 billion for improving STEM education. And he also started the tradition of White House science fairs. And Michelle Obama has also often advocated for women in STEM and has spoken about her passion for education.
Excellent. And also,
that was completed. So good job for everyone working on the Michelle Obama.
Michelle, okay. All right. I don't know what happened to the former President Obama's over there. Okay, it's moving. It's moving. And also, too, there is a school being built in Jonesboro, Georgia, called the Michelle Obama STEM Academy. It's underway. I'll share a couple of pictures of it. But that's just kind of speaks volumes to her advocacy of STEM. You don't have to be a STEM professional to advocate STEM. We need people at all levels to make sure our nation is aware of the importance, and we need them in different positions in society to help that. The job demand is going up, and the number of people who are qualified and prepared to fill those jobs is not meeting that demand. And when you look at STEM in the African American community and the underserved and underrepresented communities, that gap is even larger. So we really cannot afford to leave anyone out. Like, we cannot afford to omit any capable human potential for these positions. The demand of what we're going to need to solve the complex problems of the world is increasing, and the gap to finding the talent to work on those problems is not increasing. So we need to do all we can to make sure our community is represented and that we have equal access to those opportunities. So yeah, looks like this one is coming together nicely as well. And the app there is artsandculture.google.com.
Yes, it's Google artsandculture.com. If you just Google that, you can find puzzles of different art pieces, and Google has like a wide selection of them, and you can just play and invite your friends to play puzzles with you. And yeah, it's fun.
Awesome. Excellent. All right, so when you guys get that finished up, let us know and we'll snap back over there and take a look at it. I'm going to pop back in and sharing, so let us know when that gets finished up, Lauren.
Yes, I'll stop sharing.
And here's some of the facts that Lauren prepared that she mentioned about Barack and Michelle Obama and their involvement in STEM. This presentation will be available. We'll send this out. And here's a picture of President Obama at one of the White House science fairs. They started in 2010. I think the first one might have been in 2010. But here's a quote: "Leadership tomorrow depends on how we educate our students today." So true, especially in science, technology, engineering, and math. And here's a picture of, this is a recent picture, January 2021, of the Michelle Obama STEM Elementary Academy. And this is what it's going to look like when it's completed. And that's in Jonesboro, Georgia. All right, so next, Jairus, I'm going to have you go ahead and kind of get ready to take us through our first Kahoot game. And here's some actual pictures of some of our NSBE Jr activities that we've had to introduce youth to STEM and kind of get their their comfort level in designing and creating and using their brains in that way, math, science, things that we're all very capable of doing. We just got to have practice. All right, so Jairus, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, then, let me share my screen. Oh, I see Lauren also said the above proposal was completed.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you for participating, folks.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we see it.
Yes. Okay. All right. So first going to do exploring STEM fields. Kahoot. This one is a shorter one. I hope y'all enjoy it.
And Jairus, you put this together, so you created the questions and did all the research and everything, right?
Yes. Okay, so you can join at kahoot.it and make sure to put in the code. It doesn't have to be spaced like it is on there. Just make sure you put in all the right numbers.
What is that?
What was that?
This is an app that you can download, or you can go to that website, Kahoot. Jada, you might need to get your parents to help you with it. All right, I'm still trying to get in there, Jairus.
Okay.
It's taking a few extra seconds for me to get my pen in for some reason. All right, I'm trying to play it through my phone. If I don't get this one, I'll get the next one.
Okay. We can just wait a couple more minutes as more people join. We want to see if we've got enough people. I'll start.
I'll catch the next one, Jairus. I think I got an internet connection for my phone that's holding it up.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll still wait a couple more minutes. To allow some more
I'm
people.
Jam.
Okay, Jaden, that's you. All right. All right, I think that's a good number there.
Yeah, okay. We can start with that. And if you do want to join the code, I'm pretty sure you'll still be able to see the code. First question. STEM is an acronym that stands for. All right, everybody got correct. Science, technology, engineering, and math.
I only see the colors.
Oh. Well, you have to make sure you're looking at my screen to see the actual answers.
If you're on the phone, Jaden, you might not see everything.
2. All right, most people got that right. It's physical and life sciences. Oh, new person in the lead. True or false? Physical sciences are the sciences concerned with the study of inanimate natural objects. Oh, split halfway. And the answer is true. Nice job, Lauren, with the streak of 3. True or false? The life sciences are concerned with the study of living organisms. Nice job. Most people got it right. Yes, that is also true. How objects move and how forces make objects move is the study of what? Electricity, chemistry, mechanics, or trigonometry. About 5 seconds left. All right, most people got that right, but the answer is mechanics. Okay, nice job, Lauren. What is the form of energy that results from charged particles? Electricity, biochemistry, positrons, or lightning? See, most people already put their answer. Still got a little bit of time left. Choose wisely. All right, nice job. Everybody got that right. Okay, I see George grandson step into the board. Chemistry is the science that deals with what? Composition, structure, and properties of substances, applying problem-solving techniques to biology and medicine, the nature and properties of matter and energy like light and radiation, or the study of living organisms. This might be a tough one. Five seconds. All right, most people got that right. Yes, it's the composition, structure, and properties of substances. Lastly, earth science is the study of what? Rocks and the processes that form and transform them. Our planet's physical characteristics and its atmosphere, the technology and industry of aviation and spaceflight, or oceans, ocean creatures, and their physical characteristics. Oh, guess this one was a tricky one. And a few people got this right. Our planet's physical characteristics and its atmosphere. So to end in third place, we have Imani. Nice job. Second place, Valdi. And first place is Lauren. Nice job. And that ends this Kahoot. I'll stop screen sharing now.
Thank you, Jairus. All right. And I did not mention, but we are also on Facebook Live. So we do have an audience on Facebook Live. So maybe in the next one, we can get them involved as well. In a minute, we are also going to do a Mentimeter activity. And we'll talk about that. I'll go ahead and ask Doug to get that ready. But while he's getting that Mentimeter activity ready, I want to make sure that we recognize this gentleman. Does anybody know who this is or know anything about him? If you do, you can just come off of mute and tell us. Is he here tonight? All right, maybe you don't know, but if it were not for Carter G. Woodson, we would not have a Black History Month. So he initiated a Black History Week. It's what it was all the way until probably about 1976. I remember when it was Black History Week, and my mother and her friends and Jack and Jill, they would get us together and we would have quotes and coloring books and things that we had to report out on and learn every week, every year during Black History Week. I remember when it became Black History Month. I think that was in 1976, somewhere around there. So Carter G. Woodson has this quote that says, "Those who have no record of what their forebears have accomplished lose the inspiration which comes from the teaching of biography and history." And I think that's very important. When we were talking to Mr. George Smith earlier, as one of the founders of NSBE, it is important. The question was asked, how did you stay inspired? How did you stay motivated when things got tough? Well, if you know your history, that is the inspiration that will help you move forward. And that's why we spend so much time in RTP NSBE and RTP NSBE Jr. teaching Black history. It is the history of knowing our past that helps us continue that and to grow that legacy in our present and in our future. And he Mr. Carter G. Woodson, I believe it's Dr. Woodson, he realized this, during an era when we as a people did not have anyone documenting for us. And because of him and starting what was initially called Negro Week, Negro History Week, we have an ongoing month that celebrates Black history. And it's not to just stop in February, because February is going to end this weekend. This doesn't stop. This is just to make sure we don't forget and we take time out. And it's equally important for us to share this with people of other races and other ethnicities. It's a part of American history. It's a part of world history. So doesn't mean that we stop here. It just means that, hey, we're going to celebrate this month, but we can celebrate and learn every day. Okay? All right. So with that, Doug, are we ready to go to the Mentimeter?
We are ready.
Okay. All right. So again, like I said, this is going to be engaging. So we do have another activity. And Doug, if you want to go ahead and share and explain what's going to happen, we want to make sure you get a chance to use these tools that you can use with your family, your friends, even at work, to have virtual engagement. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Doug, and you can let us know what you need us to do.
So this one's similar to the other site in that you'll need to go to a site and enter a code. So this one is Menti, MENTI.com. And once you get to MENTI.com, then you'll use this code. And this is the first question that we want to ask you, just get your opinion. So soon as you can, just go to menti.com and then enter this code. Let me know
Yes.
the questions.
4734916.
Yes.
All right.
And I'll give everybody a little time to go to the site, think of somebody, and type their favorite historical Black inventor.
And you can put in more than one if you like. Hopefully we can fill this screen up, because if we've done our homework and our history, it'll be so small on this screen we won't be able to read it.
And I can't remember whether I made this slide so you can put multiple answers in, but hopefully you can.
Okay, well, I don't think it is, but we have enough people on the call that everybody should be able to at least get one in that doesn't duplicate.
Sounds good.
All right, so far I'm seeing Garrett Morgan. As we see these come up, if you know anything about them or their invention, feel free to put that in the chat or let us know what that is. He was in the video that we were showing when we first started tonight.
All right, so I think we have 5 people. Looks like everybody entered something. Okay.
We got some more coming through. Alexander Miles, okay. And if you put Alexander Miles in, put that in the chat. I don't know if that's a name that everyone is familiar with or knows about. Okay, Otis Borkin. Yep, Mrs. Smith. Otis Borkin. Mm-hmm.
All right, looks like that may be all the people that have logged in and entered answers. So
We got Gladys West. Okay. So I'm gonna have to ask some people to come off mute and give us a little update on who they put in there. Who put in Alexander Miles? If you want to give us a little quick 20-second. Okay, Alexander Miles invented the automatically sliding doors for elevators. Thank you, Daniel. Daniel is a NSBE Jr. member, 7th grade, 6th grade. Thank you, Daniel.
okay, we got another one.
Okay. Otis Borkin he invented the pacemaker and a lot of electronics. And I saw Valerie, you had one in there, Valerie. Gladys West helped develop the GPS. Yes. Yep, I remember reading about Miss West. Yep. We all know Madam C.J. Walker. She has been accredited with inventing the straightening comb, which is not totally accurate. She just came up with a method on how to use it best with products that were already out. So, but we know about her and her hair products. She actually did a lot. She was an entrepreneur, so there's a lot of information on her about the factory that she ran and how she helped put money in the community. Dr. Mae Jemison, we'll talk about her later. She was the first Black female astronaut. Benjamin Banneker. He was the first African American scientist. He invented the clock. He was an astronomer. Had an almanac. George Washington Carver. He's probably the second African American scientist. The peanut. He had like 100 different uses of the peanut, and he was also an artist. He was just a Renaissance man, well-rounded. Went to Tuskegee University. Katherine Johnson, we know she was one of the hidden figures at NASA. Thanks to Charles Drew, we have the blood banks now. He helped people realize that you could.
okay, might be having a little bit of internet issues, but we also have in the chat, we have Gladys West. She helped develop the GPS. And we have Elijah Mccoy. And we just talked about them earlier. We had a video playing about him earlier. And he invented something that helped lubricate train engine parts, as well as other machines.
Right, and the term the real McCoy, that's where that came from. All right, and I don't know if you guys heard me say Charles Drew. He helped us be able to get plasma from blood and develop the concept of the blood bank to help save lives during, I think it might have been World War II. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to move on because we do have some other activities to help us with our history. Thank you, Doug, for getting us up to speed with that.
All right, you want to stop sharing?
All right, so next, this is kind of a good this is a good lead in to our next activity. We just want to do a quick little virtual roll call. I want to see who is on the call tonight. As I said, I am representing the Hidden Figures, and you can see them behind me here. So who else do we have on the call? Who else do we have on the call? If you are either in character or maybe you just want to come and say a few words or put something in the chat about someone, if you want to do that now, please let us know you're here. If you want to say something, I'm only aware of Mr. Lewis Lattimore. He's going to speak tonight. But if you have something that you want to say for a couple of minutes, please put that in the chat now so we'll know what characters are going to be represented tonight and who wants to speak about who they have studied. So just go ahead and do your virtual check-in and put that in the chat. And Doug, if you don't mind, please help me keep an eye on that. But this is just a slide to show, hey, you may see some inventions up here. You did not know that was invented by an African American. This is just some of them. Like I'm not able to keep track. I'm learning new stuff all the time just to let you know how deep the history goes. But there may be some objects that you see here that are everyday household items and you didn't know. And then over here is a list of Black inventors and their inventions. And you can just kind of peruse that. We'll go through the industrial revolutions here in a little bit, but basically the point is there's still much we can learn and there's still much that we can invent as well. Okay, so Imani, do you want to talk about Garrett Morgan now? See, Imani wants to say something about Garrett Morgan. You can go ahead and do that, Imani.
Yeah. So a little bit, like a few weeks ago, I did some research on Garrett Morgan for my Bible study, and I researched him, and I just have like 2 paragraphs that I wrote about him. So I'm just gonna talk about that. So this esteemed Garrett Morgan was an African-American inventor, businessman, and community leader. He is most commonly known for his inventions of the gas mask, the first automatic 3-way traffic signal system, and the smoke hood. In 1877, Morgan was born to 2 formerly enslaved people, Sidney Morgan and Elizabeth Reed. At only the age of 14, Morgan moved up north to Cincinnati, Ohio to find work. He first worked as a handyman, then in 1907 opened his very own repair shop. His business was such a success that he made enough profit to start the newspaper called the Cleveland Call. This later became one of the most important Black newspapers in the nation. Garrett Morgan became prosperous enough so that he was able to buy and own a car, which wasn't very common at the time. He began to notice that because of the traffic lights that were used then, accidents happened to occur all the time. The traffic lights were manually operated and only switched between stop and go. There was no in between that allowed drivers to clear the intersection before the next batch of cars would go. That was exactly where his inspiration sparked from. Morgan created a signal that was T-shaped and had 3 settings instead of 2. On November 20th, 1923, the U.S. Patent Office grants patent number 1,475,074 to Garrett Morgan, and he later sold his rights of his invention to the General Electric for $40,000.
Thank you, Imani. That was excellent. Thank you. Excellent research. And I'm sure that some of the research that Mr. Morgan did it's been helpful even today. We might even need to leverage it for innovating some masks for us today, because a mask is something that's very popular that we need. So again, thank you, Imani. She's also one of our NSBE Jr members. She's on our Voyagers team that's exploring earthquakes and their impact, and we appreciate that. And it looks like we do have some others. I am going to proceed. I do see that we want to have someone speak about Benjamin Banneker. I actually do have a slide there, so perfect timing. But I'm going to, before we get to that one, I'm just going to kind of give us a quick little history on, there's 4 industrial revolutions. So as we talk about these inventors, as a scientist, you need to know that they're different industrial revolutions. So The first one was mechanization. That means just kind of making sure that we have machines that are having kind of the original types of mechanical equipment and steam power. That was kind of the focus of that revolution. It started around 1784. And then mass production, which is the one that most people are most familiar with. This is assembly lines. You think about Ford Motor Company, you think about the automotive industry and just being able to mass produce. That was in 1870. And then 1969, automation, and the first time that we're beginning to see computers and electronics. You may remember the Hidden Figures. Most of those women were human computers. So computing was done manually up until this point, and then that's when we began to start having some of the big computers that took up a room, like the IBM computers. And then today we're in the fourth industrial revolution, which is the cyber physical systems, Internet of Things, networks, and most of our current generation, our NSBE Junior members, you're going to be the history makers and innovators of the fourth industrial revolution. So just a quick lesson on how we can wrap our minds around this, all of this. We talked about earlier Benjamin Banneker and George Washington Carver, some of our legends of intellect and ingenuity in the African American community. I went to Carver Middle School, and the whole time I was there, Carver Junior High School, rather, the whole time I was there, I really didn't. I knew who George Washington Carver was, but I didn't realize how much he did until actually later in life. Like I just always knew about the peanut, but there was so much more to him than we learned about in school. So at this time, I think Jairus wants to talk about Benjamin Banneker. And Jairus, if you have something you want to say on camera, you can do so, or however you want to do it.
Okay, and yeah, I'll turn my camera on. I have a speech that I used before from the Mccoy last year. So if it sounds a little familiar to somebody, that's why. Benjamin Banneker was a true Renaissance man of STEM. His knowledge extended over numerous fields of study. Banneker taught himself the majority of his immense knowledge. He's such an inspiring figure because he was able to study several fields of STEM. It shows me that I can pursue any engineering career that I choose to as long as I'm motivated to do the work necessary to succeed. I also see that I can use the skills I will learn in engineering to advance me into another field, such as creating an invention and forming a business to sell it. The famous invention Banneker is known for is creating the first functioning clock in America in 1752. After examining his friend's pocket watch, he was captivated by it and wanted to build a larger version of it. He completed this challenge in only 2 years, and his clock operated smoothly for over 50 years. This invention led him to start his clock and watch repair business. He is also widely known for creating the entire landscape, the streets, the buildings, and monuments of Washington, D.C. When his partner, Frenchman Major Pierre L'Enfant, suddenly left due to hostility, he created the exact layout in only 2 days. He may be famous for his earlier accomplishments, but he achieved even more in his later life. In the late 1780s, Banneker taught himself astronomy and advanced mathematics. He correctly predicted a solar eclipse in 1789, and his self-taught astronomy aided him in creating his first almanac in 1792. It contained a diverse set of information, including weather predictions, seasonal changes, medical information, remedies, and advice on planting crops. He used his almanac not only to help the citizens in his local community, but also to benefit African-American slaves. He sent a copy of his almanac with a letter to Thomas Jefferson arguing that African-Americans deserve the same treatment as white Americans. His works displayed a representation of what Black Americans were capable of. An exchange of letters ensued between the two, with Banneker respectfully challenging Jefferson to make change for African Americans. He continuously discussed with Jefferson that they are more than slaves and were equal beings to Americans. Banneker's work paved the way for the freedom of slavery they had to all Americans. His letters of activism were supported by his own work and dedication in 2 diverse fields of STEM, engineering and astronomy. His special talent for STEM was not only used to improve the lives of African Americans generations ago, it still has an impact on today. Modern adaptations of the clock can easily be seen today, and the layout of Washington still stands to this day. This research on Benjamin Banneker has opened my eyes to the reality of making a lasting impact on my community through engineering and the ability to use my impact in different ways. Thank you.
And thank you, Jairus. Thank you for providing that essay on Benjamin Banneker. I will post, actually, last year, several of our NSBE Junior members participated in our Young Scholars Research Contest and essay, and we do have an online publication of all of their essays. So I will post that in the chat so that you can go and read that if you would like to learn more about Black Brilliance in STEM. All right, so I believe that Mr. Lewis Lattimore is here tonight, and he is going to share his own presentation.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, and I'm going to stop sharing, and you can share if you like.
Can everyone see that?
Yes, we see that.
Yes.
Looks great.
So, 1 second. So I heard there was some special guests online tonight. So I asked Mr. Latimer, could I speak to you for a few minutes on his behalf? So greetings from Wakanda and happy African American History Month. As you know, in my world, my sister Shuri is a great engineer. She designed my uniform and all the technology in my country. And in your world, you have some great African American engineers as well. One of them being the Lewis Howard Latimer. He was born on September 4th, 1848, to former slaves in Massachusetts. He died on December 11th, 1928. He was an inventor, a draftsman, and an engineer. Self-taught himself like others, like we just heard about Benjamin Banneker, because of course they didn't teach African Americans a lot, so we had to do it on our own. So he self-taught himself mechanical drawing by observation. Mechanical drawing, for those who are not familiar with that, that's like doing CAD, but using paper and pencil and rulers. Nowadays we use CAD and computers to do the drawing these days. So in 1874, he improved the toilet system for railroad cars. You open the toilet lid and the bottom of the bowl will close. And when you finish going to the bathroom and close the toilet lid, the bottom of the bowl will open and release the waste. This probably led to bathrooms on planes as well in the future. Also, you heard of Alexander Graham Bell. He was an inventor too. He developed the first phone and co-founded AT&T in 1885, which is still around today, of course, as you know, is a major telephone company. Well, in 1876, Mr. Latimer started working for Mr. Bell and helped draft the drawings for the first phone. So as an engineer, it's important to know how to put design on paper, or nowadays on the PC, and read blueprints and designs. So we can thank Mr. Latimer and Edison for the cell phone today. In 1879, Thomas Edison, of course, another inventor, invented the light bulb, but it only worked for short periods of time before breaking. So with the help of Mr. Latimer, Mr. Latimer improved the process of making the carbon filaments, which helped make the electrical lighting practical and affordable to the average household. So he helped improve the filament that goes inside the light bulb. This solved two problems. The bulb now lasted longer and it didn't shatter when it got too hot. This led to a job working for Thomas Edison, an inventor, and kept notes and translated data to German and French for Mr. Edison. So as an engineer, it's important to know how to read and write. He helped Edison get his patents into the office on time before completion, even as the only American on the team. In 1884, Mr. Latimer developed a way to control climate and disinfect rooms. He named it an apparatus for cooling and disinfecting. This device worked in hospitals and prevented dust circulation in operating rooms. So we can thank Mr. Latimer for those long, hot summers as well, when we were running our air conditioning. In 1894, Mr. Latimer developed an elevator safe enough to prevent riders from falling out, which made people living in tall buildings very happy, I'm sure. So Mr. Latimer also had a quote saying that we create our future by well improving present opportunities, however few and small they may be. So what this means is Mr. Latimer, he designed not only big stuff like the air conditioner and the elevator and things like that, and the bathrooms and railroad cars. He also built little things to make life easier, like this here is a locking rack for hats, coats, and umbrella. You see, here's where the hat goes, and you have the device that holds it in place. He also made a little thing like this to hold books into place and keep them in order. Also, Lewis Latimer was also a teacher, a poet, a playwright, a musician, a painter, and fought for civil rights. So in my world, I have superpowers. But also my sister Sherry and Lewis Latimer has superpowers. Using their brain power, they both have designed and built inventions to help their society. So again, happy African American History Month and Wakanda forever. Thank you.
Well, thank you for bringing us that report from Wakanda. We appreciate you coming and sharing with us. I really loved it. Excellent, excellent. I do see some more in the chat. I think we have a few others here that want to stop in. Matthew Reed. I think, Matthew, if you want to share it this time, you can go ahead and do so. Thank you, Black Panther.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So I wasn't really prepared to give a presentation, but I just wanted to add to the list. So great job, everyone, so far. I was watching from Facebook and really liked the meeting so far. I just wanted to add Dr. James West, who is actually a living inventor. He co-invented the foil electric microphone at Bell Labs. A common use for electric microphone, it's used in a lot of things, but just one example is hearing aids. So if you know anyone who has hearing aids or use them yourself, an electric microphone, a foil electric microphone, that technology stems from that invention. He is a former president of the Acoustical Society of America and is currently working on an artificial intelligence algorithm and electronic stethoscope. That is a quote. I say that's pretty much a smart stethoscope. And that's all really I have. I can just post a link from the Acoustical Society kind of highlighting um, his his work. In fact, the Acoustical Society has been doing a lot this month, talking about racial diversity in the field. And so I can also add some links to any of the students that ever had an interest in acoustics. It's a very broad field, a very diverse. You can come at it from a lot of angles. A stethoscope obviously is in medicine that has acoustics. So there's a lot that you can get into acoustics with if you're interested in buildings, if you're interested in rockets. All of those things include noise, sound, vibration, and that is all covered in acoustics. Um, so yeah, that's just something I wanted to share. Um, oh, and I think just one more thing that I don't know if someone can look that up too is I think there was a mention of 28 Black people who were inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame. Now, I've not delved into that to talk about it at length, but if it's just something I came across and found interesting. And that's all for me. I really didn't come prepared. I just wanted to throw in some acoustics and let people know about James West, especially being a living inventor. In fact, I just heard a talk from him on Zoom yesterday. So,
That
yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for mentioning that, Matthew. I did find him on the internet, and I just kind of looked him up as you were speaking about him, so I posted him right here. And I'm glad you did bring up the fact that if someone is interested in acoustics, they're actually NSBE Jr. just started a program. I think it's called the Future Club, and it is focusing on training a pipeline of students to become acoustics engineers for further study and in the field of aerospace and aeronautics. So that is something new. So I do appreciate you as an acoustics engineer coming and giving us that update. Thank you. Now, are you calling us from the Bahamas right
I
now?
am. I am.
Awesome. Excellent. So yeah, thank you for chiming in. We do appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Awesome. All right. So as that's kind of a great segue into let me get my screen sharing right here. That's kind of a great segue into where we're going to go next because there's a lot more work that's happening now in the area of aeronautics and aerospace. We even started a NSBE Jr. group called the Astronomical Adventurous to focus more on that and being able to make sure we can foster that interest in aerospace. I do see Mr. Dace Richardson on, and I know he worked for NASA at one time. Dace, is there anything you want to say briefly about your experience and what you did at NASA?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the best thing I could say is that it was the probably most rewarding job I had in my career working there. Looking at the space and designing, building rockets, and actually Space Station Freedom to help launch them and put them into space was phenomenal and a great experience of a lifetime.
There's programs like I've sent all this stuff out to NSBE Jr. So they're looking for people, and that deadline may have already passed, but they do have opportunities for students even in high school to work there in the summer and have paid internships. So being a rocket scientist, as some people used to say, would be a rocket engineer, would be far-fetched, but no, it is really not. If that's an area that you're interested in, it is very achievable now, and it is something that you can definitely do if you put your mind to it.
Yep.
All right, so let me hold on a second, get to the slide I need to get to here. I'm having a little trouble with my PowerPoint. Okay. And we would not be able to have this conversation without just kind of taking a few moments of pause to look at the contributions of Blacks at NASA. I mean, that could be a whole conversation all by itself. I think it's always been, we've had astronauts. I think there's probably about 20 now. I did have the opportunity of getting to know and meet, and I won't say no, I would just say meet Dr. Ronald McNair as a high school student. I had a chance to meet and talk with him about pursuing mechanical engineering. He was in physics, and I had a chance to talk with him. And one thing that he said that stuck with me, because at the time I was concerned about, the math is going to be too hard for engineering. I had older cousins who were engineers, and that inspired me. And my father also worked in automotive technology, so I was around him, and that kind of gave me an interest in mechanics. He worked in NASCAR for the first Black NASCAR team, and he also was an educator. So being around him kind of gave me exposure to it. And that I did have an interest in aeronautics. I had an interest in aerospace, and even interned in aerospace. But you got to have people who can encourage you and can give you that exposure. But Dr. McNair said, don't be afraid of the unknown. A lot of times we don't do things because it's not something that we're used to seeing and doing, so we tend to not want to do it. But he said, don't be afraid of the unknown. You'll learn new things. We tend to go to stuff that's comfortable for us because we already know about it. But that's always stuck with me. And even, after he went through Challenger, and unfortunately he passed, and all the other astronauts there passed, they were not afraid of their interest in science and pursuing it. All right, so I will just kind of share here, and we're going to run out of time, but I want to just make mention of a new, I won't say new, but she's going to be up and coming. She's already up and coming, so keep an eye out for Dr. Jeanette Epps at NASA. We'll be seeing more about her later on this year. I did have a chance to hear about a year ago Dr. Mae Jemison speak. She spoke at Duke University, and some of us were able to get to go hear her speak. And it was excellent to hear her speak. She's actually still doing quite a bit in STEM, with her company. So that's and you can also often see her in the community doing things. So that's Dr. Mae Jemison. Her story is very, very unique. She was not even pursuing engineering. She was a physician and a dancer. That was her background. And she just say, hey, look, one day she wanted to try to become an astronaut. She's always been fascinated with the stars in the sky, and just always looked up. And she decided that she would get into the astronaut program. And she said initially they didn't take her seriously, but she contacted them again, and she continued to contact them because she said they hung up on her, and she continued to contact them, and she was able to pursue going into the space program, and that actually did work out for her. All right. My screen is not going to cooperate for me to finish in presentation mode. So I'm going to just continue on like this, and hopefully you guys can see okay. But this, of course, is the Hidden Figures. We've always heard about Dorothy Vaughan and Mary Jackson, Katherine Johnson, Christine Darden, but there were other women who worked in the background, I would say, at NASA in various levels that we may not know about, but these are the hidden figures that you probably have heard the most about. But they kind of set the pace, and they were some of those at the beginning of their era. And there's so much out there. If you've seen the movie, it kind of takes multiple stories and puts that together for Hollywood. But it's good information and research to go out and study them on your own. And we actually had a chance to hear Christine Darden last fall in a NSBE online conference. She was there and she spoke for a few minutes. So when we have a chance to hear living history, it is so wonderful to try to take advantage of that when you can, like we were able to do tonight with Mr. Smith. being here. Today, you may have seen that NASA honored Mary Jackson. There was a renaming of a facility in her honor today. I think that came on around 1 o'clock this afternoon, or maybe, based on your local listening. But during today, there was a renaming of a ceremony. There was a ceremony renaming a headquarters building after her. And she was the first African American female engineer at NASA, and that is Mary Jackson. Also, Valerie Thomas, and I was not aware of Miss Thomas. And when I was preparing for our meeting today, I had some time to speak with Mr. Smith, and he made me aware of Valerie Thompson. You can see this is a picture of her at NASA, and she's wearing the afro, so that kind of gives you an idea of the era here. So hold on one second, let me get rid of this on my screen. But yeah, Miss Valerie Thomas is shown here, and you can see that she had a lot of contributions. She developed real-time computer data systems to support satellite operation control centers, and she's still living. So I'm hopefully we'll be able to get a chance to have her come and speak to us at some point. And that's Miss Valerie Thomas. All right. So I'm going to pause for a moment to see if there's any others on the call who have someone they want to share about before we go to our next activity. Okay. If not, I'm going to ask Doug if he would go ahead and get the second Mentimeter. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. We're going to do the Kahoot first. So, Jairus, if you are ready to go ahead and do the next Kahoot, I had to shut my PowerPoint down. I'll get it back going in a second here. If you're ready to go ahead and do the Kahoot on Black history, on Black inventors, we can go ahead and do that one.
Okay, just let me see. It's right here. All right, let me share my screen. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we see it.
Okay. Once again, just go to kahoot.it and put in the game pin, and we'll wait for people to join.
All right, are we able to put that on the Facebook page, Doug? I think the Facebook Live, if they want to play as well.
It should be on the Facebook page.
The Facebook Live, yeah, we can post that in the comments. So if they want to play the Kahoot, we can just have them enter.
Okay, I'll check. I think the image should already be on Facebook.
They should see it. Okay, all right. Make sure they're seeing it and let them know they can play as well with that pin number.
Okay, we'll wait. We'll wait a few more minutes. Okay, we can start with what we have. And if you still want to join, I'm pretty sure you can still see the code. First question. The first industrial revolution introduced what new items? Water and steam power, textiles, telecommunication systems, or the wheel? 5 seconds. Choose wisely.
We talked about this earlier.
Yes, we did. Okay, there are actually 2 correct answers. Let's see, most people selected water and steam power and also textiles. Okay, George grandson in the lead, not too far behind Daniel and Valdi. The second industrial revolution introduced what new items? Advancements in machinery and automobiles, awareness to global warming, airplanes, or new materials and energy sources. Guess not too many people know.
Yeah, we mentioned this one too.
Yep. All right. So we split both ways with the correct answers, which were advancements in machinery and automobiles and new materials and energy sources. Okay, I see Marion popped on the board. Some points. True or false? Martin Delaney is the first recorded Black scientist in America. True or false? We talked about this one as well. See if you guys are paying attention. 5 seconds. 1 and all right, most people paid attention. No, Martin Delaney is not the first recorded Black scientist. And you'll see who, well, if you don't know, you'll see who it is in the next question. First recorded Black scientist, Benjamin Banneker, is known for creating America's first what? The wooden clock, HVAC unit, the automotive car, or the water gun? 15 seconds left. I see most people answer. 5 seconds. All right. Just about everyone got that right. That is the wooden clock. Okay, I see George grandson of streak of 4. Nice job. Who is best known for investigating lubrication devices to make train travel more efficient? Martin Delaney, George Washington Carver, Shirley Caesar, or Elijah Mccoy? Okay, so we got a few answers. Creeping up on 10 seconds. Okay, guess this one was a little split, but the answer is Elijah Mccoy. Okay, I see Daniel E. went up. George grandson still in the lead. Despite racial barriers, Elijah Mccoy managed to gain over blank patents to work as an engineer. How many? 8, 17, 24, or 60? Hmm. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. And the answer is 60 patents, which is quite a few for anybody in general, especially considering the time period.
And Jives, I forgot to mention that we're going to offer some prizes for this one, okay?
Okay. Yeah, I guess that also adds some motivation to get the correct answers. Lewis Latimer is best known for contributing to the patent of the light bulb and telephone, as well as the early AC unit for security system, the nail gun, or the toaster. Wondering if people really know. The answer is the early AC unit. Okay. C. Imani hopped into third place. In addition to their STEM contributions, this person was also a flutist and poet. This one is a lesser known fact. Maybe somebody will know, or at least be able to guess the correct answer.
This was mentioned tonight as well.
Ah, well, I guess one person knew. That was Lewis Latimer. Nice job to Marion. Sarah Breedlove, aka Madam C.J. Walker, was a blank who popularized the blank. We definitely talked about this one. Hopefully everyone was paying attention. And okay, 3 people got that right. It was a little split, but the answer is she was an entrepreneur who popularized the hot cone. All right, Marion's taking first place. Nice job. Who was the first Black scientist or engineer to earn a bachelor's degree? George Washington Carver, Benjamin Banneker, Daniel Hale Williams, or Garrett Morgan? All right, less than 10 seconds. Choose wisely. And the correct answer is George Washington Carver. All right, 3 people got that right. Okay, see Valdi and Sage went up. Charles Drew, a physician and surgeon during World War II, is greatly known for improving what? Okay, we also talked about this as well. We talked about a lot of these people. All right, so most people have answered. About 10 seconds left. Hope you can choose the correct answer. Okay, most people got that one right. It's greatly known for improving human blood preservation for blood banks and transfusions. Oh, George Grandson's taking the lead. George and Marion are neck and neck. Which Black surgeon performed the first successful open heart surgery in 1893? Was it Charles Drew, Lewis Latimer, Sarah Goodman, or Daniel Hale Williams? All right, 10 seconds left. At least choose something. Oh, wow. Guess nobody knew this answer. Who? That was Daniel Hale Williams. True or false? The third industrial revolution brought smaller electronics for communication and internet and began the process of digitalizing things. By the way, this revolution was around the early to mid 1940s and ended around the early 2000s. Just to give some context. And it's true. Nice job to those 4. Okay, so Valerie has an answer streak of 3. And the 4th Industrial Revolution from the 2000s through today has made great strides in artificial intelligence and robotics, sustainable and renewable resources, the fusion of physical, digital, and biotech, and or wireless mobile devices and 3D printing. Which answer do you think is correct? Well, sort of a trick question. All of them are correct answers. We made a lot of progress in the 4th Industrial Revolution. This woman was a theoretical physicist who created the touch-tone telephone and the caller ID. Was it Maria Rambo, Shirley Jackson, Evelyn Friedman, or Katherine Johnson? All right, about 5 seconds left. And the correct answer is Shirley Jackson. Okay, see, not as many people knew this. Nice job to those who did. All right, see, Valdi's hopping back and forth. George Grandson still in the lead. Quite a few points. Maria Van Brown is known for creating the closed-circuit television security, the Nerf gun, the smoke alarm, or the color TV. 5 seconds. Correct answer is the closed-circuit television security. This one was a lesser known one. I did not originally know this when I was creating this. Okay. This inventor is known for creating the IBM computer and the pacemaker. Is it Otis Boykin, Lonnie G. Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, or Maria Rambo? Okay, 5 seconds left. Choose wisely, or at least choose something. Oh, only one person knew this. Correct answer is Otis Boykin. Nice job to George Grandson. In the lead by quite a few points. True or false? Lonnie G. Johnson, an aerospace engineer, made both the Johnson thermoelectric energy converter and the Super Soaker water gun. It's 2 very different inventions. Less than 10 seconds left. Okay, you have 50-50 chance. Choose wisely. Actually, both of these are true. Nice job. The National Society of Black Engineers was founded in what year? Of course, we have to end on some NSBE trivia. Was it 1947, 1975, 1986, or 2003? All right, most people got that right. It's 1975. Yeah, see, Marion's moved up. Jaden's hopped in 5th place. Nice job. At what university was NSBE founded? Okay, now you definitely should know this. This was discussed very early on in this event. All right, 10 seconds left. 3, 2, 1. All right, most people got that right. Correct answer is Purdue University. Nice job. All right, Marion, the streak of 3. George still in the lead. Mine not far behind. Lastly, the founders of NSBE are known as the Fayetteville 4, the Little Rock 9, the Greensboro 4, or the Chicago 6. Again, if you're paying attention, you'll definitely know this answer. All right, about 10 seconds left. Really think on this one. Last question. 5, 3, 2, 1. All right, nice job. Everybody got this one correct. It is the Chicago 6.
Awesome. And who are the top winners?
Dowdy.
Okay.
In second place, have Amani. And in first place, George Grandson, with runners up, Marion and SH. And
awesome. Excellent. I'm going to put an email address in the chat. If the top winners there could send me your shipping address, I'm going to show you quickly as we get ready to wrap up what our prizes are for tonight. And since you have done such an excellent job in answering these questions on Black history, I think you would enjoy having some Black history books to continue to study and learn more. So hopefully you will enjoy getting those gifts, and send me, like I said, your mailing address so we can get that shipped out to you. And just to kind of wrap up, I do want to make mention of a current scientist, a doctor, physician, who has been seen in the news. And if you have not seen her, please pay attention and learn what you can about Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett. She's had a very pivotal role in the technology and in the discovery of the COVID-19 vaccine solution. So please pay attention to Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett. She also goes by Kizzy. She happens to be from North Carolina. I did reach out to her in January, hoping that I could possibly get her to stop by or maybe even connect with us at some point. But of course, she's pretty busy right now. So you can continue to follow information on her in the news and the work that she's doing in the 4th Industrial Revolution right now, and the history that she's making in the COVID-19 vaccine. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and see if there's any final remarks from Mr. Smith. You were on tonight. Any final remarks, Mr. Smith, that you would like to say for us as we get ready to depart? And you may be on mute, Mr. Smith, if you're still on. I think you're on mute, yes.
I think I'm off mute now.
And is that your grandson right there that was just... Okay, how's it going, grandson?
Hello.
Hi.
So I just want to say, I thought this was a great program. Your emphasis on the inventors is exactly the way to, I believe, inspire students. You know, when I was growing up, the only inventors I knew about were Thomas Edison and Alexander Graham Bell. And I was a big, big fan of Thomas Edison, okay? So, you know, you all young people now, you have more role models to think about. And I would just love the day, I would love to see the day when in science class, they would have science exhibits where they show you the science that went into each of those inventions that were brought to life by Black inventors. So I just think that the opportunities for you in the future are going to be even more exciting than in the past. And I just want to encourage you to take advantage of it and keep doing what you've been doing and follow the NSBE mission. And thank you so much for having me.
I'm on mute now. Please come back, Mr. Smith. I hope this is not the last time that you pay us a visit. And if we were in person, we would give you a big hug and give you a plaque and show you this certificate in a frame, but I'm going to share it with you electronically. This basically says a certificate of appreciation is hereby granted to Mr. George Smith from the Research Triangle Proteges chapter for your voluntary efforts serving as a guest speaker for Black Brilliance in STEM, our NSBE Jr meeting today. And that is actually February 26th. I need to correct that, 2021. So thank you so much. We do appreciate you. And like I said, don't be a stranger. You're welcome anytime to attend our meetings. So with that, I am going to wrap up, but I will stick around for a few minutes. I know we may have some students who want to learn more about a particular field. I did ask earlier that if there are engineers here tonight, if you could put in the chat what you studied and what your major is, because there could be a student here that wants to speak with you and know more about your field, and maybe they want to connect with you and they need some advice, or they're thinking about their field. Like I said, everyone has to have someone to inspire them. I had relatives and my dad, and even had a chance to meet Dr. Ronald McNair. And Mr. Smith even told me that he became interested in electricity from an electrician that was doing work at his home. And that's how that kind of got him thinking about becoming an electrical engineer, because that gentleman said, you know, you should go to college because you like math. So you don't know what words can inspire someone's life and change their future. So we'll stick around for a few minutes if you want to chat about that. Otherwise, I will send out the presentation. I will mention that our site for tonight, the Eventbrite page, does have links that have a host of information about Black history. I didn't go through the detail of everything, but I will send that back out. We'll put that in the chat if you want to go back to the Eventbrite page for tonight's event. There's links there that have lots more information and details on Black Brilliance in STEM and inventors that we did not get a chance to cover. And we don't have to just do this in February. Please don't leave here thinking that we're going to not study this again until next year, because that's not true. We can study this at any time, and we should study it at any time. As Mrs. Smith said, this is how we stay inspired. This is how we continue to stay motivated when things get tough for us. So with that in mind, we'll end tonight. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. Until next time. Bye-bye.